The number on the screen says $100 million. Dollars. Not his money, never his money, just numbers he's very good at showing you. His name is Ty Lopez, though you've probably seen him somewhere else, standing in front of rented Lamborghinis, talking about books he may or may not have read, promising you the life you've always wanted if you just buy his course. 47 cars in his garage, knowledge, mentors, the Hollywood Hills, all of it carefully arranged, meticulously filmed, designed to make you believe one thing: he has something you need. And for a while, millions of people believed him. This is the story of how a man built an empire by selling nothing, how the internet made it possible, and why you probably helped him do it without even knowing. Ty Lopez didn't start wealthy, that much is true. Born in 1977, raised by his mother and grandmother in Southern California, he grew up without much money. He talks about this often: the struggle, the humble beginnings. It's part of the narrative, the rags to riches arc that makes everything else believable. In his 20s, he worked various jobs: sold cherry tomatoes at a farmer's market, worked at a lumber yard, tried his hand at different ventures, none of them particularly successful. But somewhere along the way, he discovered something more valuable than any single business. He discovered performance. The internet was changing. Social media platforms were growing. And Lopez realized you didn't need to be successful to look successful. You just needed to understand the platforms better than your audience did. By 2013, he'd started building his online presence: motivational posts, business advice, photos with expensive cars. The formula was simple: project wealth, offer wisdom, sell access. And it worked. His following grew steadily, but it wasn't until 2015 that everything changed. That's when he launched the ad campaign. You've probably seen it: Ty Lopez standing in a garage in the Hollywood Hills, talking about his Lamborghini, but then he pivots. It's not about the Lamborghini, he says. It's about knowledge, books, learning. He's read a book a day, he has mentors, he knows things, and for just $67, he'll teach you too. The ad went viral, not because people loved it, because people hated it. It became a meme almost instantly. The Lamborghini, the bookshelves. Here in my garage, the internet mocked it relentlessly, and Ty Lopez let them. Because here's what most people missed: virality doesn't care about sentiment, it only cares about reach. Every person who shared that ad to mock it was advertising for him. Every meme was free marketing. The algorithm didn't distinguish between positive and negative engagement. It just saw engagement, and it pushed his content further. Within months, his courses were generating millions. His social media following exploded into the tens of millions. He became one of the most recognizable faces on the internet. And the entire foundation was built on a carefully constructed illusion. The cars? Most of them rented. The house? Not his. The bookshelves, props, even the success stories he referenced were questionable at best. But none of that mattered because he understood something crucial about modern media: perception is reality. His programs promise to teach you how to build wealth, how to start businesses, how to live the life he appeared to be living. Thousands of people bought in. The courses themselves? Generic business advice you could find for free. Repackaged self-help principles, motivational platitudes. Nothing revolutionary, nothing particularly useful. But people kept buying, and Ty kept selling. He expanded, launched more programs. The 67 Steps social media marketing agency. Real estate programs, each one promising insider knowledge. Each one priced just low enough to feel accessible, but high enough to seem valuable. His ads were everywhere: YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, relentless. You couldn't escape them. And that was intentional. Saturation was part of the strategy. The more you saw him, the more legitimate he seemed. Familiarity breeds trust, even when it shouldn't. Critics started paying attention. Journalists investigated. They found the rented cars, the leased properties, the recycled content. They published exposés, and Tai Lopez responded the same way every time. He ignored them. Because the people reading those articles weren't his target audience anyway. His audience was younger, less skeptical, more desperate for a shortcut. They weren't checking sources. They were watching 30-second Instagram clips and making impulse purchases. The machine kept running. Revenue estimates vary, but conservative calculations put his earnings somewhere north of $100 million from courses, from affiliate marketing, from partnerships with other questionable figures in the online education space. He wasn't alone. The industry he helped popularize became crowded with imitators. Grant Cardone, Dan Lok, countless others, all of them following the same blueprint: manufacture credibility, promise transformation, sell access. But Tai was the prototype, the proof of concept. And the question nobody seemed to be asking was simple. If these methods actually worked, why would he need to sell them to you? That question has an answer, and understanding it reveals something much larger than one man's hustle. The answer is this: selling the dream is more profitable than living it. Think about the economics for a second. If you develop a legitimate method to generate consistent wealth, you have two options. Use that method yourself and keep the competitive advantage. Or teach it to thousands of people, saturate the market, and destroy your own edge. No rational person would choose the second option, unless the teaching itself is the method. That's the model. The product isn't the information, it's the aspiration. Tai Lopez didn't sell business strategy. He sold the feeling of being close to success, the illusion of insider access, and that's infinitely scalable in a way actual business expertise never could be. His real genius wasn't in what he taught, it was in understanding human psychology at scale. He identified a massive audience of people who felt left behind by traditional systems. People who saw others getting rich online and wondered why they couldn't do the same. People who were willing to believe there was some hidden knowledge they were missing. And he positioned himself as the bridge. The timing mattered too. He rose during a specific cultural moment when social media was maturing, but media literacy wasn't. When influencer culture was exploding, but regulation was non-existent. When YouTube and Facebook were desperate for content, and their algorithms rewarded engagement above everything else. Tai Lopez didn't create that environment. He just exploited it better than almost anyone else. And the infrastructure he built was deliberately designed to be criticism-proof. When journalists called him a fraud, his followers defended him. They had already invested money and ego into his programs. Admitting they'd been scammed meant admitting they'd been foolish. Easier to double down. Easier to believe the critics just didn't understand. This is called sunk cost fallacy, and it's incredibly powerful. He also surrounded himself with legitimacy adjacent figures, got photographed with actual entrepreneurs, name dropped real business concepts, cited genuine books. The strategy was to blur the lines just enough that skeptical people might give him the benefit of the doubt. And it worked. Even people who suspected he was full of it couldn't definitively prove every single claim was false. The ambiguity was protective. But here's where the story takes a turn. By 2018, the backlash had become too loud to ignore. YouTube started cracking down on misleading advertising. The FTC began investigating deceptive marketing practices in the online education space, and the cultural conversation shifted. The hustle culture Tai Lopez represented started looking less aspirational and more predatory. His ad presence decreased, not because he stopped, but because platforms changed their policies. His courses still exist. He still has millions of followers, but the momentum is gone. The cultural moment passed, and newer grifters with shinier presentations have taken his place. The model evolved, but it didn't disappear. What Tai Lopez proved is that you don't need a good product to build a massive business. You just need a good story and a large enough audience that doesn't know how to verify it. In an attention economy, narrative beats substance almost every time. The people who bought his courses didn't do so because of careful research. They did so because of emotional triggers, fear of missing out, desire for status, hope for a better life. Those are powerful sales tools. And the uncomfortable truth is that this model works because it addresses a real problem with a fake solution. There are millions of people who feel economically trapped, who see wealth concentration accelerating and opportunity narrowing, who are desperate for a way out. Tai Lopez didn't create that desperation, he just monetized it. The legacy isn't the courses or the memes or the Lamborghini in the garage. The legacy is the blueprint. Manufacture authority. Oversaturate the market with your face. Make bold claims without evidence. Rely on volume over quality. Dismiss criticism as jealousy. And most importantly, always be selling. That blueprint is now everywhere. It's in fitness, in real estate, in cryptocurrency, in self-help. Anytime you see someone promising shortcuts to success while conveniently selling the map, you're looking at the same structure. Different face, same machine. So when you see the next version of this, and you will, ask the question that matters. If this person has truly figured it out, why do they need your money? Real expertise doesn't require constant self-promotion. Real success doesn't need to be rented for a photo shoot. And real value doesn't hide behind countdown timers and artificial scarcity. Tai Lopez understood something most people don't want to accept. In a world optimized for attention, the truth is optional. What matters is whether people believe you. And if enough people believe, the money follows. That's not inspiration. That's just how the game works now. The machine Tai Lopez built still runs. The face might change, the product might evolve, but the fundamental transaction remains identical. Someone projects success, packages hope, and exchanges it for money from people who can't afford to lose it. You've probably already funded the next version without realizing it. A click, a share, an algorithm that decided you'd engage with this type of content. The system doesn't require your belief anymore. It just requires your attention for 7 seconds while an ad plays. What's different now is that we know how it works. The props are visible, the rented Lamborghinis are documented, the empty promises have been cataloged and cross-referenced, and yet the model persists because knowing how a magic trick works doesn't make you immune to wanting the magic to be real. The real scam isn't the course. It's the idea that someone else holds the answer to your specific life. That expertise can be mass-produced and sold at scale. That complexity can be reduced to 67 steps or 47 cars or whatever number tests well in advertising. Tai Lopez made $100 million teaching a lesson he never intended to teach. If you're going to sell something, make sure what you're selling is the act of selling itself. Everything else is just set dressing. The Lamborghini is still in the garage, but it was never about the car.